Hi, I'm Minette Rushing, owner of Custom Cakes in Savannah, and today I'm going to share with you how we make our cream cheese pound cakes. Here's what you'll need: 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 3 cups of sugar, 6 large eggs, 8 ounces of cream cheese, 1.5 cups of butter, 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of real vanilla or flavoring of your choice. All right, we've got all of our ingredients measured out, our pan's prepared and ready to go. The first thing I'm going to do is to take the salt and sprinkle it over the flour. Make sure I get it all out. And you can either sift it, or I just usually use a whisk. Kind of mix it around before I get started. All right, let's get started. Put the cream cheese in first and turn the mixer on low. Kind of get it started. And now I'm going to start adding the butter. Like I said before, you really need to have your ingredients at room temperature. The butter needs to be soft but not melted. The same with the cream cheese. And we're going to let this mix for maybe about 3 or 4 minutes, kind of on medium speed. All right, I'm going to turn it off and let's look and see. Yeah, that looks nice. So that looks like they're incorporated, the butter and the cream cheese. So now we're ready to go ahead and gradually start adding our sugar. Turn the mixer back on and start adding. Okay, let me check this. What you're looking for when you cream your fat, in our case that's the butter and the cream cheese, and the sugar, you want it to lighten and also look fluffy. So you can actually cream, excuse me. You want to be careful not to do that, but at the same time you definitely want it to be a lighter color than what you started with, and you want it to look nice and fluffy. So I'm going to let it cream for about another 1.5 to 2 minutes. All right, I think we're there now. The batter is nice and light, and it's well creamed or mixed together. So I think now we're ready to go ahead and let's add the eggs. We'll add those one at a time. So we want to make sure that the egg is fully incorporated before we add the next one. Okay, that looks good. So we'll go ahead and add the next egg. All right, before we add the flour, I'm going to go ahead and add the vanilla. All right, now we're ready to start adding the flour. Okay, you want to add the flour just gradually. Turn this up just a little bit. make sure the flour gets well incorporated before we put the next flour in. And that looks good. Okay, I think it's ready. You don't want to overmix it, but like I said, you want to make sure that the ingredients are well incorporated. So now it's time for us to put it in the pan. To bake the pound cake, I'm going to use a bundt pan. And I've prepared the pan using shortening and some flour. What I've done is I put some shortening on a paper towel and really rubbed into every nook and cranny in this pan, and even up around here. And then I've gone back with some flour and sprinkled that in and just kind of beat it around to make sure that the flour gets everywhere. You want to make sure that you've coated your pan well. As you can see, the batter is a really thick, beautiful batter, and it's delicious just like it is, but it's even better when you bake it. So I'm going to use my spatula and just spoon it into the pan. The batter doesn't pour well because it is so thick, and that's why I find it's just easier for me to spoon it in. And if you notice with the recipe, there's not any leveling agents. So the batter is really takes up a lot of the pan because there's not much rise to it. A little bit, but not much. Okay, I'll just kind of smooth out the top and try to make sure I've got it spread evenly. This is going to go in a 300-degree oven. And it's going to take probably an hour and a half to bake, but I start checking it at an hour, but it usually takes longer. All right, it's ready for the oven. Okay. Oh my gosh, I wish you could smell. It smells fabulous. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to let it sit and cool for about 10 to 15 minutes before we turn it out of the pan. All right, the cake's been out for about 15 minutes, and I'm just going to use my spatula, a small spatula. You can use a knife, a butter knife if you want to, and just make sure these edges aren't stuck. And you can see the top of it's kind of cracked a little bit, and that's fine. It does that sometimes. All those good, yummy, crunchy pieces. All right, so now I'm going to put a 10-inch cake board on top. You can use a plate if you want to. It doesn't have to be a cake board. And I'm going to very carefully flip it over. And it came out beautifully. All right, our pound cake has cooled, and I'm ready to go ahead and garnish it so we can serve it for dessert. And I've got it on a really pretty pink cake stand. And what I've done is I've just cut some parchment paper, or you can use wax paper, kind of tucked it under the cake so that my glaze doesn't get all over my cake stand. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and put our vanilla glaze on it. And this recipe is in one of our other YouTube's videos, and we'll post the link on it. So this just kind of pretties it up a little bit and gives it a great taste. You really don't need any sort of a filling with this or frosting. So the glaze is just gives it that little extra. Okay, now I'm going to put some fruit in the hole just to kind of, like I said, pretty it up a little bit. And I've got some blackberries and strawberries and some raspberries just to give it some pretty color. You can use whatever berries you like. Let me take this out and put a smaller one in. There we go. And then we'll just finish it up with some raspberries. Oops. Okay. And you can drizzle a little glaze on this as well if you like. There we go. Now this glaze will harden up just a little bit, and I'm going to let it kind of firm up a little before I remove this paper.